Eddie Guerrero, the champion who left the world in shock. Eddie Guerrero was a true WWE legend, known for his high-flying moves, passion, and his infamous catchphrase, lie, cheat, steal. But behind the scenes, Eddie's life was filled with personal struggles that made his comeback even more remarkable. Before he became a fan favorite, Eddie battled addiction and faced numerous challenges that almost ended his career. Yet he fought hard to overcome them, returning to WWE stronger than ever. In 2004, he won the WWE Championship in a shocking victory against Brock Lesnar at No Way Out, a moment that fans will never forget. But just as Eddie seemed to be on top of the world, tragedy struck. In November 2005, Eddie was preparing for another big match to defend his title. His comeback story had inspired millions, and fans were eager to see what he would do next. However, just days before the match, Eddie was found dead in his hotel room at the age of 38. The cause of death? Acute heart failure, which was linked to years of stress and past substance abuse. What many don't know is that Eddie was actually scheduled for one of the biggest matches of his career, possibly one that would have solidified his place as one of the greatest WWE champions ever. His untimely death left fans heartbroken and wondering about the legacy he could have built had he lived longer. Eddie Guerrero's passing was a tragic end to a story of redemption. But what makes his story even more powerful is the way he fought through his struggles, using his platform to inspire others. His impact on the WWE Universe will never be forgotten. Owen Hart, a tragic end before his big match. Owen Hart was one of the most talented and charismatic wrestlers in WWE history. A member of the famous Hart family, Owen was known for his incredible technical skill and his ability to entertain the crowd. By 1999, Owen had earned a spot as one of the top wrestlers in the company and was involved in a major storyline. Just before the 1999 Over the Edge pay-per-view, Owen was set to face The Godfather in a highly anticipated match. The stage was set for a big moment in his career, but tragedy struck. During a pre-match entrance stunt, Owen was being lowered into the ring from a height of 78 feet. Tragically, the harness malfunctioned, and Owen fell directly onto the turnbuckle below. The accident happened live on air, and he was rushed to the hospital, where he later passed away from severe internal injuries. Owen's death shocked the wrestling world, and what many don't know is that Owen had planned for a major comeback. His career was on the rise, and he was scheduled for an even bigger push in the coming months. Fans will forever remember him not just for his wrestling abilities, but for the tragic accident that took him from the ring far too soon. Chris Benoit, a heartbreaking end to a wrestling legacy. Chris Benoit was one of the most skilled and respected wrestlers in WWE history, known for his technical prowess and relentless dedication in the ring. He had a reputation as a hard-working, humble athlete who earned the respect of fans and fellow wrestlers alike. Benoit's crowning achievement came in 2004 when he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 20, defeating Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a thrilling, emotional match. It was a moment that seemed to symbolize the culmination of his wrestling dreams. However, just a few years later, Benoit's life would take a tragic and shocking turn. In June 2007, as he was preparing for a major storyline, the unthinkable happened. Benoit was found dead in his home, along with his wife and son. The cause of their deaths was later revealed to be a series of devastating events, with Benoit reportedly taking the lives of his family before his own life ended. What shocked the world even more was the revelation that Benoit's brain showed signs of severe brain damage, likely caused by years of concussions and trauma from his wrestling career. This discovery brought to light the dangerous side of the sport and raised questions about the long-term effects of head injuries on athletes. Chris Benoit's death left the wrestling world heartbroken and stunned. Despite his dark end, his legacy as a talented wrestler and his unforgettable matches will always be remembered. His story remains one of the most tragic in WWE history, and the hidden truth about his brain injuries only deepens the mystery surrounding his life and death. Brian Pillman, a star lost too soon. Brian Pillman was a unique and unpredictable force in the wrestling world, known for his wild, high-flying style and larger-than-life personality. He was a true pioneer, blending athleticism with a daring, chaotic persona that captivated audiences. His loose cannon character in the 1990s pushed the boundaries of what fans expected from a wrestler, often blurring the lines between reality and entertainment. Pillman's involvement in the famous Attitude Era and his work in both WWE and WCW made him a standout star. As Pillman's career was soaring, tragedy struck. In October 1997, just days before he was set to make a major return to the ring at WWF's Bad Blood pay-per-view, Pillman unexpectedly passed away at the age of 35. He had been battling serious health issues, including a history of injuries and complications from a recent surgery. It was revealed that the cause of death was a heart attack, likely linked to his years of physical toll in the ring and his history of substance use. Umaga, the Samoan Bulldozer's final battle. Edward Fatu, better known as Umaga, was a force of nature in WWE. With his intimidating presence, unmatched strength, and hard-hitting style, he was feared by opponents. Nicknamed the Samoan Bulldozer, Umaga tore through the competition, remaining undefeated for months. His battles against John Cena, Triple H, and Jeff Hardy made him one of the most dominant figures of his time. In December 2009, Umaga was set for a major comeback. He had recently wrestled in Australia and was preparing to return to the mainstream wrestling scene. However, just days before finalizing his next big move, tragedy struck. On December 4, Umaga was found unconscious at his home. He was rushed to the hospital but never regained consciousness. The cause was later linked to heart failure, worsened by past health issues. One shocking fact that few people know is that Umaga was supposed to have another WWE run. His departure from the company earlier that year wasn't meant to be permanent. Talks were already in place for his return, and fans would have soon seen the Samoan Bulldozer back in action. His sudden passing left many stunned, as it came at a time when he was preparing for yet another dominant run in the wrestling world. Perro Aguayo Jr., the match that ended in tragedy. Pedro Aguayo Ramirez, better known as Perro Aguayo Jr., was a major star in Mexican wrestling. The son of the legendary Perro Aguayo, he followed in his father's footsteps and became one of the most recognizable names in lucha libre. His intense, aggressive style made him a fan favorite, and his feuds with Rey Mysterio and El Hijo del Santo were some of the most memorable in Mexican wrestling history. On March 20th, 2015, Aguayo was part of a highly anticipated tag team match in Tijuana, teaming up with Manique, PTJP, against Rey Mysterio and Extreme Tiger. It was supposed to be just another thrilling night of action, but what happened in the ring left the wrestling world in shock. During the match, Aguayo took a drop kick from Rey Mysterio, which was meant to set up Mysterio's signature 619 move. However, something went terribly wrong. Aguayo slumped onto the ropes and became unresponsive. At first, no one realized the seriousness of the situation. The match continued for a few more moments before the referee and medical staff rushed to check on him. He was quickly taken to the hospital, but it was too late. The official cause of death was cardiac arrest due to a cervical spine injury. What makes this even more heartbreaking is that fans and wrestlers alike had no idea in the moment that something tragic had occurred. It wasn't until after the match that the true severity of the situation was understood. Mitsuharu Misawa, the champion who never got up. Mitsuharu Misawa was more than just a wrestler. He was a legend in Japan, a 5-time AJPW Triple Crown champion and the founder of Pro Wrestling Noah. Misawa was known for his hard-hitting style and brutal matches. He carried the spirit of King's Road Wrestling, a style that pushed athletes to their physical limits with devastating suplexes and stiff strikes. But this same unrelenting approach would ultimately cost him his life. On June 13, 2009, Misawa was in a highly anticipated tag team match in Hiroshima. He teamed up with Go Shiozaki to defend the GHC Tag Team Championships against Akitoshi Saito and Beeson Smith. During the match, Saito delivered a routine backdrop suplex, a move Misawa had taken countless times. But this time, something went terribly wrong. Misawa didn't move. The referee and medical staff rushed in, attempting CPR as the stunned crowd watched in silence. He was taken to the hospital, but he never regained consciousness. It was later confirmed that he had suffered a fatal spinal cord injury, likely the result of years of accumulated damage from his intense wrestling style. What many don't know is that Misawa had been struggling with severe neck injuries for years. He had hidden the extent of his pain, refusing to step away from the ring. That night in Hiroshima, his body simply couldn't take it anymore. Jeanette Wolfe, a rising star gone too soon. Jeanette Wolfe was a young and promising wrestler in the 1950s, performing as part of the famous Wolfe wrestling family. She was mentored by the legendary Mildred Burke, one of the biggest female wrestling stars of her time. Wolfe's in-ring ability and natural talent made her a standout in women's wrestling, and many believed she had a bright future ahead. But tragedy struck before she could reach her full potential. On July 28, 1951, Jeanette was scheduled to wrestle in Liverpool, England. It was supposed to be another routine match, but what happened next left everyone in shock. During the match, Jeanette suddenly collapsed in the ring. At first, the crowd and her opponent thought it was part of the performance, but when she didn't get up, it became clear something was terribly wrong. Medical staff rushed to assist her, but it was too late. She was pronounced dead shortly after. She was only 18 years old. The cause of death was later ruled as a brain hemorrhage. What made this even more tragic was that she had shown no signs of serious illness beforehand. Many believed that the physical toll of wrestling at such a young age had contributed to the sudden collapse. Her death served as a chilling reminder of how dangerous professional wrestling could be, even in an era before high-risk moves became the norm. Gary Albright, the match that turned fatal. Gary Albright was a powerhouse in professional wrestling, known for his dominance in catch wrestling and his devastating suplexes. With a background in amateur wrestling, he transitioned into the world of shoot-style wrestling, competing in Japan's UWF and All Japan Pro Wrestling, AJPW. His incredible strength and technical skill made him a feared competitor, and he was respected for his ability to make matches look as real as possible. On January 7, 2000, Albright was wrestling at an independent show in Pennsylvania. It was a routine match against Lucifer Grimm, but what happened in the ring left fans in shock. During the match, Grimm delivered a standard three-quarter facelock bulldog, commonly known as a cutter. Albright fell to the mat and never got back up. At first, everyone thought it was part of the match, but when he remained unresponsive, panic set in. Medical staff rushed to the ring, but Albright was pronounced dead shortly after. The official cause was later determined to be a heart attack. What many don't know is that Albright had a history of heart issues, which had gone largely unnoticed. His sudden passing was a chilling moment in wrestling history, as it happened in front of a live audience that initially had no idea they were witnessing a real tragedy. Bam Bam Bigelow, the beast who never made his comeback. Bam Bam Bigelow was one of the most agile big men in wrestling history. Known for his tattooed, flame-covered head and incredible in-ring ability, he dominated in WWE, WCW, and ECW. By the mid-2000s, Bigelow had stepped away from the spotlight, but behind the scenes, there were rumors of a return to the ring. He was in talks for one last big match, a comeback that would remind the world why he was one of the most feared wrestlers of his time. However, fate had other plans. On January 19, 2007, just as Bigelow was preparing to lace up his boots again, he was found unresponsive at his home in Florida. The wrestling world was shocked. Reports later confirmed that he had suffered multiple health complications, which ultimately led to his passing. His death was a heartbreaking moment for fans who had hoped to see him make one last impact in the squared circle.